Good evening and welcome to Lead Story Global Lead. I'm Tyrone Reed. Tonight we examine issues of accountability, fairness and justice, from the systems designed to protect Jamaica's most vulnerable children to growing concerns over the recovery of public sector salary overpayments and the renewed international push for reparatory justice. We'll also bring you the major global developments making headlines, highlighting three of the top stories the world is watching. This is Lead Story Global Lead. I'm Tyrone Reed. Thanks for joining us. Thanks so much for staying with us. Every report of suspected child abuse can be a critical step in protecting a vulnerable child, but ensuring those reports are received, investigated, and acted on requires a system that is accessible and responsive. Tonight, Lead Story continues to examine the challenges facing Jamaica's child protection reporting processes and speaks with the CPFSA on efforts to strengthen the response. Joining me now for that discussion is Dr. Warren Thompson. He's the Director of Intake, Investigation and Court Services Division at the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA. Greetings, Dr. Thompson, and welcome to Lead Story. I think you might be muted there, Dr. Thompson. Are you hearing us now, Dr. Thompson? Yeah, but you might be muted, perhaps.
No, I'm not
wonderful.
muted.
We're hearing you now loud and clear.
Okay.
Welcome to the program. Good to have you on. We appreciate you coming on to talk to us. What's the situation with the hotline for receiving these reports of suspected child abuse, the 211 number that the CPFSA monitors, and also they gave a WhatsApp number recently that also should be monitored. What's the latest on why those numbers aren't being answered when calls are placed to them?
Well, firstly, Tyrone, I want to thank you very much for taking an interest in this. We're always open to getting feedback from the public and from our media partners about any issues being experienced and how we can improve the system. So the 211 line, as you reported, and you have seen in our social media posts, was down. And we have had a number of instances, so 3 times since the start of 2026, when the line was down. At no fault of the CPFSA, a system issue on the part of the service provider. In each instance, we would have escalated it to senior managers within the service provider entity to address the issue. So the line being down has been out of the control of the CPFSA per se. So what we have done is to ensure that we have other means by which people can make reports. Now, I should say to you that on looking at the ad that we had posted on social media, one of the challenges or one of the mistakes we made, if you want to call it that, is that we should have stated that the WhatsApp reporting number is a text line. So persons can submit the information via WhatsApp, they'll get a call back, they would get a response via WhatsApp, of course, and then someone will call them to get the additional information that is required. Now, in addition to WhatsApp, we have other means by which people can submit their reports to us. So you'd have seen that there's an email address for persons to submit their reports, and there's also the opportunity for persons to visit any CPFSA location across the island to make those reports. Of course, it is a child abuse reporting line. So if there's a child who is in imminent risk of harm, then that report really should go to the police station. When a report comes to CPFSA, we would, of course, go through our standard investigation processes and do safeguarding that is required. But if the child is in immediate danger, then the advice that is usually given to the public is to go call 119 or quickly go to the nearest police station. Because the child abuse reporting line is not a, what do you call it now, an emergency line per se.
Dr. Thompson, I should say thank you again for showing up, because very often when these uncomplimentary reports surface, we don't necessarily have the relevant officers facing the media to answer tough questions. So thanks again for joining us. You did say the 211 reporting line went down at least 3 times since the start of 2026?
No, not at least. It went down on 3 occasions.
So 3 occasions,
Yeah.
and you're saying the fault is with not with the CPFSA, but the service provider. Who is the service provider?
I don't want to get me in any trouble, Tyrone. But the service provider at the moment is Flow. And I must say to you that the issue over the years has not been unique to the CPFSA 211. I recall there was an instance when almost all the 3-digit toll-free lines were down. As I said, we don't have the technical skills in-house, so we do rely on the service provider to address the issues when they come up. And of course, we thank the public. We do our own internal monitoring, but when the line goes down, we're usually notified by someone saying, hey, we're trying to call and we can't get through.
Is this a paid arrangement with Flow?
Yes, it is a paid arrangement.
So I gather my next question to you would be, Dr. Thompson, are there conversations internally about getting another service provider 3 times in 1 year? That seems to be quite a significant amount of times, especially for an emergency number.
Yes, no, remember we said it's not an emergency number. It's a toll-free 24-hour line for persons to make reports, but it is not an emergency number as, say, 119 would be or 110. It is more like the Crime Stop number, which is what, 11 or 311. It is more similar to that kind of number. Now, yes, we have been having dialogue internally about the possibility of going with another service provider. Of course, we don't have a lot of options here in Jamaica, but the conversation has taken place. As I said, we would have escalated the issues from time to time to senior personnel at Flow, because very often, there's a delay in getting the technicians to identify what the issue is and respond to it in the timely manner in which we would want it to be responded to. So very often we escalate, and we have had the discussions, even at a high level, about other options to ensure that we remain accessible to people who want to make reports to us. So for example, we have had talks about the possibility of exploring using satellite phones, so to ensure that where the system goes down, we're still accessible. We have had discussions about using a chatbot on our website to receive, so people can go online and make the reports that way. So we have been having those kinds of conversations about different means by which we can be accessible to the public, as well as, of course, exploring the possibility of alternative service providers.
I appreciate the clarification on the emergency nature of the number, but we do have lined up for viewers, for those who might be just joining us, what we're discussing is the difficulty in reaching this hotline for the reporting of suspected cases of child abuse, 211, and the WhatsApp number that was provided by the CPFSA as an alternative. A clarification being provided here by Dr. Thompson that the communication should have been clearer, that this is really a number that is designed for texting and not necessarily calling. If you text, a call may follow. But let's show to our viewers, before I ask you my next question, Dr. Thompson, our efforts at attempting to reach the numbers provided by the CPFSA.
Sure.
I am afraid all of the operators are busy at the moment, but please hold. hold, and you will be transferred when somebody becomes available. I am afraid all of the operators are busy at the moment.
All right, so we're showing you there just excerpts from our investigation calling the 211 number. And of course, we also tried the WhatsApp number several times because it wasn't clear as to whether or not that was a number to call. 9 times, Dr. Thompson, that we called 211, once someone answered. And the 10 times we called that WhatsApp number, there was no response. And now we understand why. Is this what should happen, Dr. Thompson?
Right. So that's a difficult question to answer because you will appreciate that the system is dynamic. So at a given time, a person may be calling, and in fact, all the operators are busy.
But shouldn't it be dependable and not dynamic, Dr. Thompson? Shouldn't dependable be what we're striving for?
Well, I don't think that they're mutually exclusive because if the person, I don't know how long you held on the line, I don't know how long you were waiting, but if the clients who are being addressed are clients whose concerns are being responded to, then there may be an instance, or you'd have had 9 instances, where you may have had to wait for an operator to become available. Now, do we need additional resources? Yes. Yes, I mean, we can always do with more resources to make the system much more efficient. That is a given. But to mitigate the limited resources that may be available, we have created other opportunities for persons to make contact with us.
I'm out of time, Dr. Thompson, but I have to ask you, is the 211 number working now?
Yes, it is working.
All right, and we'll continue to put the system to the test. Dr. Thompson from the
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you so kindly for joining us inside Lead Story.
No problem. My pleasure.
This is Lead Story. I'm Tyrone Reed. More after the break.
Of the Caribbean lies a beacon of financial opportunity. Welcome to Jamaica, where beauty and vibrance meet business and innovation. At the forefront of making Jamaica a robust financial hub, the Jamaica International Financial Services Authority leads the charge with trust and integrity.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction, 'cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music keeps on playing, and the people that I say we are mash up the night. Oh, what a feeling! Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got a spark, don't put it down. Shine your lights on.
Jamaica's unemployment rate has fallen to 3.3%, down from 13.2% in 2016. Our government's continued focus on job creation is delivering real results. We are building Jamaica. The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is...
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us right inside Lead Story. Now, the public sector compensation restructuring exercise was intended to bring changes to the way government workers are paid, but the processes have since raised concerns over salary overpayments and the recovery of those funds. As authorities move to address the issue, former Jamaica Civil Service Association President, that's Anil Grant, is calling for an immediate halt to the recovery process. He argues that more consideration must be given to the workers affected and the circumstances surrounding the overpayments. Mr. Grant, he joins us now. Top of the evening to you, Mr. Grant. Welcome to Lead Story.
Thank you, and the same to your listeners.
Indeed. Mr. Grant, for those who aren't familiar with the issue, walk us through what's happening here and your perspective on what should happen.
Okay, first, let me just put it out there that I am not speaking on behalf of the Jamaica Civil Service Association or the government of Jamaica. I am making these comments as somebody who has been a part of the process and is very aware of some of the issues that are involved right now. So, to the question you have asked, when the implementation of the restructuring was done, the alignment was done, there was some miscalculation and some officers were overpaid. And based on what the Financial Administration Audit Act says, overpayment of salary must be recovered. So it's not a matter of whether or not it should or should not be recovered, it must be recovered. However, the information that I have received is that the recovery is going to pose significant challenges to some officers, and they have indicated that to pay back even at the 1/6 threshold of the law says that should be met would cause them serious challenges. So one of the solutions that I've recommended is for the conversion of the amount owed to a loan, and not interest free loan that is recoverable over several periods rather than in one financial year, because the law does say that it must be recovered within the period that the overpayment was done, and that will take significant amount of money out of certain officers' salary.
And this information came to you by way of the members of the Jamaica Civil Service Association?
Well, persons who are familiar with who have worked with me over many years would have reached out to me and asked me my opinion as it relates to the overpayment, whether or not this is something that should happen, because as they put it, this was a mistake, it was an error in the calculation, it wasn't their fault, they're not blaming anybody, it's just that because of the pace at which the implementation was being done, there was some miscalculations that was done in terms of where people are in their bands and how they have been aligned and so forth, and it caused them to be overpaid. So it's not that they're blaming the government and saying that they don't want to pay, but what they're saying is that it is causing them undue hardship. And these are persons have indicated, because of my background and track record, would have sought advice from me in my personal capacity as an industrial relations consultant. And given what I've been seeing and hearing, I decided that I was going to just give my opinion on what I've been seeing happening in the compensation restructuring and how it has been affecting some persons.
So you're saying the law says that it must be recouped within the same year that the overpayment was made. That's what the law says.
That's what the law says.
Now, if the law says that, Mr. Grant, you are putting on the table what then? For it to be spread over 12 months and not be taken back at once, what are you putting on the table? So that it can be consistent with what the law requires.
So there is a provision that if the period will cause extreme difficulty for the worker, then they can in fact make a petition for the financial secretary for the payment to be relaxed. Now, because of the number of persons involved and the amount of money involved, it might not be feasible for everybody to make an appeal to the financial secretary. That's going to be too cumbersome. So the easiest solution is for a general moratorium to be given and for the workers to be converted to an interest-free loan that is paid out over a period of time that is to be determined by the Ministry of Finance based on what they are seeing. I don't have the specifics in front of me, but based on what the Ministry of Finance is seeing, they could in fact look at the circumstance, ensuring that the spirit of the compensation restructuring is maintained, that no officer should be worse off as a result of the restructuring. And if this is going to put them in a worse off position, put a measure in place that will bring some relief and while at the same time ensure that the government is not suffering a loss as a result of the overpayment.
All right, so these individuals would have reached out to you, your former head. Not certain if you are aware, but the current head of the Jamaica Civil Service Association has commented on your remarks on this matter. Our news center actually caught up with her, and that's a teacher, Griffiths, and this is what she told us.
The Jamaica Civil Service Association has distanced itself from the opinion of the former president of the JCSA. He does not speak on behalf of the JCSA. The JCSA as an executive, it has a president, and therefore anything coming from the JCSA must come from the current executive or the president, right? The issue at hand in relation to the payback for workers is an issue that we are dealing with at the Jamaica Civil Service Association. We do not share the view that they should put the payback on pause. Our view is that the members should not be paying back anything because they have not caused this on themselves. It was 3 years after the compensation was implemented that the Ministry of Finance is trying to recover salaries overpayment from these workers, and the compensation review was implemented by the ministry, and no worker had an input in how their compensation was done. Therefore, when the issues were highlighted, the position of the union was that we red circle these persons and we find a way to see how we can provide them with support rather than putting them through financial burden. We do not share his view, and we do not, and the former president do not speak on behalf of the Jamaica Civil Service Association. In his article, he also referenced that the JCSA is pressing for an inflationary parity adjustment for 25-28. The current president is in negotiations with the Ministry of Finance, with the Ministry of Finance as well as the Confederation, and we are far advanced in our deliberations, and therefore we reserve the right to disclose to our members when we reach a settlement. And so the JCSA will distance itself from his utterances.
Strong words there, Mr. Grant, from the current boss of the JCSA. How do you respond?
I mean, it's not a tempest in a teacup. I don't know why the emotion about the whole thing. I'm entitled to my opinion, and I've shared it. And she is entitled to put forward the association's opinion, and that is quite fair for her to say that the union has a different thought in relation to what has been put forward. The fact is that the law is the law, and if there is going to be a setting aside, it has to be as a kind of a dialogue between the Ministry of Finance and the Jamaica Civil Service Association. That's not my remit. I am here as a commentator, private citizen looking on, having heard some things, and I've put forward my own opinion on what ought to be or can be a solution to the problem. So I don't know what is being distanced, because I think it is all going in the same direction, which is to bring relief. It's also going in the same direction as she indicated, of course, that inflation parity is being sought in some other interviews. That's my phrasing. She indicated some time ago that inflation is pegging out at the workers' remuneration coming up with compensation restructuring. My phrasing is that inflation parity is being sought, and I don't think there's any difference between raising a concern about the impact of inflation and seeking inflation adjustment parity in negotiations that they are having. So I don't know why it is that there seems to be this dissonance. It is kind of surprising to me.
But let me ask you this, O'Neill Grant. You did mention there again about what the law requires. So if is what we're hearing from the current JCSA boss and a breaking of the law, she's saying the money shouldn't be paid back.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strong position, and people start from a position of strength when we are negotiating. The financial secretary is the only one that can make that decision, and of course the minister can also weigh in with a waiver. That's what the law prescribes. But to actually demand that it not be paid back might be a little bit of a stretch. I don't want to speak too much about it because I know that they may be having active discussions, and I don't want anything I say to influence or color what is being discussed. But I'm a little bit surprised. I'm probably a little bit lost for word because I'm hearing comments for the first time. You have caught me a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, no, and I can understand that, but she does sound as if she's marking her territory, though, O'Neil Grant. It seems as if she's saying, look, stay out of the JCA. You're no longer one of us. Is that surprising to you, the strength of the response?
It's very surprising, but I don't want to speak to that because I know that she has other matters that she wants to deal with, and I don't want this to become too much of news. All
right, let me ask you this then. I'll accept that, and I won't push beyond asking you this. Given what you've heard, do you think the JCSA is in good hands?
Well, put it this way, those who have gone before me from 1919 until now would have created a very strong organization that can withstand anything. It has weathered its own storms over many decades, many crises over many decades, and the organization will always, do what is best for the members that it represents.
How would you respond to those who may say you perhaps should have ran your comments by the current president before making them? Is that reasonable or unreasonable?
I think it's unreasonable. Let me put it in this context. Prime Minister Bruce Golding has been making some comments as a former Prime Minister, and nobody has said that he has no authority to speak as he should. He's a private citizen and he can speak on any matter. I'm a private citizen. Yes, I was a former president, and that puts me in a very interesting position. But I don't see that I have said anything that is contrary to JCSA policy or is objecting to what the JCSA has been advocating. As a matter of fact, my comments actually are supportive of the mandate that the JCSA has, which is to secure the best interests of its members. And that is part of the JCSA's mission statement. So my statements are, in fact, very supportive and intended to find a solution that all the parties that are sitting at the table could find acceptable. It's a win-win situation that I am proposing. So I don't think that I should be censored. I don't think that I should be asked to pass my comments to anyone, whether or not they should be my opinion.
We're out of time, O'Neil Grant, but before I let you go, is this an indication that there's a lack of confidence in the current president, that there are members who are reaching out to you?
No, I think, people have muscle memory and I'm accessible, and I've been friends with a lot of persons and they have been in their exchanges. So they will reach out to me and ask me questions of all sorts and I will give them responses. No, my thing is that when I hear quite a number of persons asking me the same question, then I'm going to know as a responsible person, as somebody who has some experience, so I'm going to put there because it's a technical issue.
Well, O'Neil Grant, we're out of time, but I want to tell you that we need to hear more from you, O'Neil Grant, as a former JCSA president. So we'll be calling upon you here at CVM every so often. All right. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Articles.
Indeed. All right. This is Lead Story. More after these.
A poor hygiene experience can quickly escalate to a PR nightmare. Don't let this be your business. Upgrade with Initial Hygiene. Our smartly engineered hygiene solutions aren't just robust. They're designed to complement your space and brand while maintaining the strictest hygiene standards. And our contract service ensures that your consumables are always stocked, giving you one less thing to worry about. Initial Hygiene, your trusted partners in professional hygiene.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
Walking on the Word with Apostle Professor J. Andrew Scott every Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m.
Hallelujah. And they have some people now
You look forward for them. They bring a joy to you. They make you laugh. When you see them, they make you give you a good vibe. And them people that you want around you, man. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Now follow me with your heavy self, man. Sure. Your heavy down, sir. Hallelujah.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winford Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Welcome back. Thank you so very much for staying with us inside Lead Story. Now, for generations, the call for reparatory justice has been rooted in the demand for recognition of the lasting impact of slavery and colonialism. But as conversations move from historical acknowledgement to action, questions remain about what reparations should look like and how they can be achieved. Tonight, Lead Story examines the renewed push for reparatory justice following a call from Ghana's President, John Dramani Mahama, for Africa and the Caribbean to unite behind the movement. We're now being joined by noted historian Professor Vereen Shepherd, Jamaican scholar and author as well. Welcome to Lead Story, Professor Shepherd.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Indeed. Professor Shepherd, if you can locate where we are with this push for reparatory justice and against the backdrop of the visit of the Ghanaian president.
Well, I think we're at a very good place in the reparatory justice movement. We haven't reached the end of the road yet, but we're on our way, and it's a big step to have had the continent of Africa, because it's not just Ghana, there are other countries that are in the movement. So we're at a good place, because when Africa comes on board with us, then it makes a difference to the movement. It expands the movement, it enhances our work, and it's a good joined up effort. And the resolution that was passed in the United Nations in the General Assembly on March 25 this year has been regarded as a very big step towards achieving the goal we have set for ourselves, which is reparations, repair for the harm of chattel enslavement and its continuing legacies. So we're in a very good place.
You mentioned that UN resolution, and the opposition has raised a question about this. And I wanted to know, Prof. Shepherd, if you have similar thoughts on this. In a release issued by the People's National Party, noted that on March 25, 2026, the United Nations adopted a landmark resolution recognizing the transatlantic slave trade and racialized chattel slavery as among the gravest crimes against humanity. The resolution was introduced by Ghana on behalf of the African Group and co-sponsored by 54 African member states, together with Barbados, Belize, Antigua, Barbuda, the Bahamas, Haiti, St. Kitts and the Nevis, Belarus, Brazil, Colombia, and Venezuela. Although Jamaica voted in favor of the resolution, it did not publicly co-sponsor it. And the PNP is of the view that this is more than a procedural matter. It concerns Jamaica's standing and leadership in the global reparation movement. Do you have any concerns that Jamaica didn't publicly co-sponsor this resolution?
Well, it would have been very good if Jamaica had co-sponsored. But to me, the most important thing is that CARICOM member states voted for the resolution, therefore ensuring that it was adopted by the General Assembly. And not only that, but Jamaica was involved in the discussions ahead of the vote, because what Ghana did, and I know this because I was part of the technical team helping to draft the resolution and providing historical context for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Ghana and other stakeholders. So I know that various meetings were held, consultations with member states were held, and this meant that we had 123 votes for the resolution. So yes, I agree it would have been nice if we were done as co-sponsor, but I think that other member states who would have co-sponsored actually said that they didn't have time to get all the details, but they knew that they had to vote yes. It would have been a shame if CARICOM member states had not all voted yes. So I take the point, but I think the larger point is that the resolution passed. 123 member states said yes, including all CARICOM member states, including Jamaica.
And you were rightly highlighting, Prof, and if you could expound on that a bit more, how much of a major step that particular UN resolution is?
This was a giant step. It remains a giant step because for a long time, we weren't sure that the continent of Africa was on board with us. Of course, there were individual groups for a very long time, Dudley Thompson and elders on the continent of Africa were in this movement for a very long time. But as a region, we weren't sure that everyone was on board. Now we are sure that everyone is on board, and we have an AU CARICOM Commission on Reparation. We have all these committees established by the President of Ghana to take the matter further. Members of our community in the Caribbean are on these committees, including the high-level one. So I think that we have to focus now on the positives of this and the way forward, which the President of Ghana is calling Next Steps. There was a huge conference in Ghana earlier this year, and the next steps were outlined. So now that the resolution has passed, now that 123 countries have said yes, and some of the 52 that abstained have also indicated reasons why they didn't vote for, but that there are issues that they are considering in terms of supporting the movement. So we're in a very good place, and what we're focusing on now is how we move the needle forward to achieve reparations. That's where I think we are now. And I think regardless of who voted yes, no, maybe so, who didn't co-sponsor, what we have to do now is rally around the cause in a very united way as Jamaicans and ensure that we implement the demands. In other words, there is a CARICOM 10-point plan for reparations, starting with a full and formal apology and going right down to number 10, which is debt cancellation and monetary compensation. So this 10-point plan now is what we should focus on in terms of ensuring that we get these demands met by those who disfigured our region. And by the way, the resolution is called it's a resolution about the trafficking in enslaved Africans, because we're trying to reshape the language. It wasn't a trade because that implies an equal participation in a transaction. So it's a resolution, to declare the transatlantic trafficking in enslaved Africans and racialized African chattel enslavement as the gravest crime against humanity. That's the name of the resolution. And we don't say slaves, we say enslaved, to put the blame where it's supposed to go. And so the Caribbean, as we know, remains the most colonized part of the postmodern world, with about 17 countries still without sovereignty. And so the demand is for our former colonizers to listen to the cause of African descended and indigenous populations for independence, self-determination, and reparations. This is what decolonization requires.
I want to come back to the point about the number of countries without sovereignty, because I really don't get how democratic nations can be withholding sovereignty from countries. I want to come back to that, but let me ask you, what do you think is behind this coalescing on continental Africa, behind this reparatory justice movement? What do you think is the reason for it at this time?
Well, I think that when you go to the various meetings, when you listen to the president, members of civil society across Africa, from Morocco right down to South Africa, when you listen, what they're saying is that NGOs have always been in the movement, and individual politicians. I mentioned Dudley Thompson before, but the states had not really declared their hand in terms of joining the movement. It's significant now that the 54 states are on board. We need a united front, and I think what Ghana and others are saying is that, listen, it is our people who were captured and who were put in dungeons and floating dungeons, these slavers, and enslaved, chattelized in this part of the world, in the Americas. So therefore, reparations is also a call for justice for their citizens, their people who were trafficked. And we have the numbers, we know the percentages, we know who the enslavers were. So they are saying it's time for the continent itself to lobby for justice on behalf of their own people who were chattelized on this part, this part of the world.
I have under a minute to go, Prof, but I just want you to just say to our viewers, those who are listening, can this reparatory justice movement be stopped? Can it be denied with the momentum that is being developed? It will achieve its goal. Are you confident of this?
I am confident. It might not happen in my lifetime, but emancipation took over 300 years, okay? And therefore, it's not a sprint. It's a long-distance race. And we're good at that in our part of the world. So what we need is all hands on deck. We need more people to join the movement and ensure. And you talked about these colonies. Yes, the Dutch has some, the British has some, and they are lobbying for independence. And the United Nations, through the CERD, the Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, or the Declaration, we are all saying that through Article 15 of the International Convention, that decolonization should happen.
But isn't this a contradiction, Prof, that you have these states that claim to believe in democracy and they are not committed to fully decolonizing? Isn't that?
But we have seen that even in the past, chattel enslavement, many of the participants were Christian people, were the churches who say they have a conscience. These were states who say they're democratic nations. And yet, Britain, for example, in abstaining, said it was legal at the time. How can a country, how can churches, how can banks, insurance companies, how can they say that chattel enslavement was legal at the time, using the legal doctrine of intertemporality? They made the laws. And our people said, no, we do not agree with your law. You made the law. We're saying a crime does not rot, as the Africans say, and African jurisprudence proved that the legal doctrine on the continent was that it was a crime against humanity. So we have to step up the advocacy. There is a National Council on Reparation in Jamaica, Minister Grange, that it comes under her ministry. Lalita Davis-Mattis is the chair. We have Bert Samuels as the vice chair, and we have many of us. I'm a member as well as a vice chair of the CARICOM Reparations Commission. And at the UN, we have the lobbying going on. So we are saying to those people, have some conscience as we fight for justice and bring some enlightenment to the world.
Professor Shepherd, we have to leave you there. We're out of time, but we definitely will be revisiting this topic, Godwin. But I appreciate the time and the thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Indeed. This is Lead Story. We take the break and come back with Global Lead.
No, I said, Pierce, you come from, brother, I want to live good, man. I want to live good, Bridging. No shake hand, I can play a little ball, Bridging.
Really have to shake hand?
Yeah, man, and no badness, Bridging. Just live good, man.
I'm me, the stylist, no scam and style me.
From the market to the farm to the office, money talk is everywhere. But are you making sense or nonsense? The Bank of Jamaica brings you common sense with BOJ. Real stories, real laughs, and real lessons to help you protect, grow, and manage your money. Mattress savings.
At least my mattress, you charge me to sleep on it.
Partner plan.
Remember last year we needed our payouts early? But Miss Pam gave it to her cousin first.
Or a sketchy loan flyer.
Electrifying deals.
See why making the right financial choices is pure common sense. Brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, empowering everyday Jamaicans one episode at a time.
Grandpa, it's 2026. You can't keep hiding all your money in every single pocket forever.
Thanks so much for staying with us. Welcome back. This is Lead Story. In Lead Story's Global Lead, time now for the Global Current, where we focus on 3 top stories shaping the world. We begin with 10 months after the U.S. brokered ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The deal has yet to deliver much of its promise. Hamas hasn't disarmed, and Israeli forces continue to bomb Gaza almost daily. Most Gazans still live in tent camps or in the rubble of half-destroyed homes. But in the most trying circumstances, some are trying to connect to the outside world and make a living with their laptops. We hear more in this story from the BBC News.
Amid the rubble of Gaza, Palestinian tech workers are finding desperately needed ways to earn money and an escape from their difficult reality. Tariq Zayim is a software engineer working on a mobile phone app for an international client. We speak on a video call.
Everything's gone. I lost my home. I lost my job. So I am starting from zero, from scratch, to start a new career.
During 2 years of deadly, full-scale war, Gazans struggled to get water and food. Many continue to live in tent camps. But thousands are trying to connect to the world through the digital economy. Co-working spaces use generators and solar panels to provide electricity and the internet. From this viewing point in southern Israel, you can look right into the Gaza Strip. And given the massive destruction there, it just makes it seem all the more unlikely that Gaza is still somehow a high-tech hub. Even before the latest war, Hamas-run Gaza was kept under blockade by Israel and Egypt, so remote digital freelancing was a way for university graduates in the Strip to earn a living. Humanitarian groups are helping to get the industry going again.
We talk about it now as sort of a digital lifeline, and at a time when close to 80% of the people living in Gaza have no income whatsoever, it's really critical to help people get back to work.
You mentioned to me... Willette Validis is talking to a mentor in Silicon Valley about AI. At 24, she's her family's breadwinner and is trying to evacuate her injured sister. She's got a new job working remotely for a Dubai firm.
My first hope to help my family to get a good life, to help my sister to get out from Gaza to find the treatment. And also, I'm working for myself also to find, to get my scholarship to travel.
There are many challenges, from broken laptops to banking restrictions and near daily bombings. This one was by a co-working space. With the ceasefire stalling, Israel says it's continuing to target Hamas. And while Gaza's wider recovery remains at a standstill, its tech workers give a glimpse of a brighter, possible future. Yolande Nell, BBC News, near the Israel-Gaza.
That report there from the BBC. Up next, wildfires continue to burn across Europe as firefighters battle flames near Athens. Even as winds finally ease, extreme heat drives rivers like the Rhine to record lows, slowing commercial traffic to a trickle in Germany and Poland. Over in Hungary, the country's only nuclear power plant runs at just 10% because the Danube can't provide enough cooling water. Officials expect a cold front but warn that more hot days still lie ahead as climate change lingers. Al Jazeera has the details.
This forest fire is burning further north than usual in the Dutch province of Limburg. Crews have been brought in from across the region to help quell the latest in a string of wildfires to sweep across Europe this summer. In Greece, swathes of land have been scorched, leaving a trail of devastation stretching for miles.
Our soil is burning. Our house may not have been burnt, but our soil is burning when we look at that.
The battle to contain the flames is still being waged. With the winds easing, helicopters are taking advantage. The effort is beginning to pay off. But the area around the capital, Athens, remains at high risk. The intense heat is also taking its toll on Europe's rivers. Here on the Rhine in Germany, water levels have fallen to a record low. Usually this is a busy commercial waterway, but traffic has slowed to a trickle. And in Poland, the extreme heat has left rivers running low too, with a lack of rain worsening the impact. Further south in Hungary, the Prime Minister visited the country's only nuclear power plant on Tuesday. It's running at just 10% of capacity because the Danube levels are too low to provide enough water to keep it cool, though conditions are expected to improve.
There's already light at the end of the tunnel because the meteorology predicts a cold front for Friday and the temperature will drop significantly. Until then, however, there will be very hot days.
As climate change makes extreme heat more frequent, Europe's landscape is increasingly being shaped by fire and drought. Milena Veselinovic, Al Jazeera.
Reporter from Al Jazeera. Now, pressure is mounting on FIFA president, the embattled Gianni Infantino, after the English FA decided to withdraw its support for his re-election, following similar moves by Wales and other European football associations. UEFA is also considering legal action over Infantino's failed World Cup investment plans as the campaign to remove him gathers pace. Sky tells us more.
Gianni Infantino clings on to power for now, but UEFA has instigated the next move in its attempts to bring down the FIFA president. Letters of support for his re-election are being withdrawn from across Europe. It was during the World Cup that FIFA was claiming that Infantino had 200 of the 211 World Football Associations already backing his bid for a new 4-year term as president next year. But in Europe, those letters are being withdrawn. We heard from Wales of a failure of leadership and not putting the best interests of football first. England also formally renounced its support. Serbia announced the attempts to sell off stakes in the World Cup seriously damaged the reputation and credibility of both FIFA and its president. Sweden confirmed UEFA is actively looking to come up with an alternative candidate. The deadline for candidates is in November, with the election due in March. We've heard nothing from Infantino about this increasing loss of confidence in his leadership, particularly from Europe and North America. The last statement from him was in the early hours of Saturday morning, announcing he was abandoning this attempt to launch a World Cup subsidiary with private investment after accepting it had proved too divisive. The accusation has been that he was offering this development cash to be boosted around the world as some sort of maybe incentive to gain support across the world of football. And intriguingly, just before the start of the World Cup in Mexico, when I asked Infantino about criticism of the high ticket prices, he brought up, in a way, the voting system.
I've also heard saying, well, this money just goes to the federations to secure power or stuff like this. Well, tell me, where should the money go otherwise? Democracy is not just an empty word. And if we accept democracy, we have to accept the one member, one vote situation.
I never mentioned in the question anything about using money from the World Cup to secure votes, but it was certainly on Infantino's mind. But his presidency is now rapidly imploding. Infantino and many of his staff are facing the threat of legal action from UEFA over this attempt to launch FIFA Forward enterprise. Officials, including Arsene Wenger, who has a senior development role, have been told that their correspondence could all be requested as part of legal action as UEFA ups the ante and tries to increase the pressure on Infantino to bring him down. This is all a concerted effort to end Infantino's presidency, but for now, he remains in power. But for how long?
We're there from Sky News. More anon on that one for sure. And that's all the time we have on Lead Story Global Lead tonight. On behalf of the entire production team, thank you for watching Lead Story Global Lead. Up next, the best news in the country, CVM News.